So, hey, Noreen, my friend in
Hi.
Australia, across the world. I wanted to have a chat with you today, and I want to introduce you to my followers, and maybe you can introduce me to your followers. And we're going to talk a little bit about multi-probe galvanic. Noreen Rosler and I go back to the 90s. We met in Maryland through a mentor of ours, and we've stayed in touch all these years. Noreen is in the process of building a multi-probe galvanic device, and I'm in the process of doing the same. We share information frequently. We have a lot of respect for one another. And so we wanted to chat tonight about certain topics that the two of us have had questions, and hopefully the audience will be able to get some knowledge out of it. And then feel free to ask more questions. So, hello, Noreen. How are you?
Great. Look, thank you for that lovely introduction. And I'd like to introduce you to all my clients and friends in Australia who watch this and hopefully learn a lot about it. Now, Alana, we both go back a long way in the industry and we both spend a lot of our resources into research, which I think what makes us different and stand out because we want real answers. So, welcome and thank you for this invitation.
Thank you, Noreen. Very exciting things. Noreen just got back from a much needed vacation. So now she's back to work and no breaks for
Oh,
you.
fully refreshed.
So, if you don't mind, Noreen, let's talk a little bit about multi-probe galvanic electrolysis because the two of us have both used thermolysis. We started as thermolysis operators,
That's
discovered that
right.
it wasn't working for us. You actually used it much longer than I did.
I used it for 15 years and you know there's a there's a respect for your client that when you promise them something you've got to deliver, and I would say, I'd say, look, telling them it's permanent. And 15 years, they're still knocking on my door for another treatment. And I'm going, what am I doing that's not right? If it's permanent, I shouldn't be seeing you. And so my frustration led to me just getting on a plane with the intention of traveling the world to find an answer. And if there wasn't one, that was it. I was quitting. What I learnt later on, that of course you can never have the permanency that you get with galvanic because the heat doesn't completely kill all the stem cells that we need to. So of course it's going to grow back. At the end of the day, you have to look at, if you're going to sell a client a permanent solution, then your integrity's on the line. So where's that solution if they're still coming 15 years later? That was my question. And I solved it. Galvanic, well, you just don't have that problem. You treat a hair and it's gone.
Yeah. I was frustrated just like you. I also said the same
Yeah.
thing you said. I was lucky enough that I moved out of New York and got into Maryland and said, you know what, if I can't figure out how to do this, I'm just going to quit the industry.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because do you find that the statistics in our industry, and maybe because you're in Australia, it's a little bit different, but here in the United States, that most electrologists, they their lifespan in the industry is 4 to 7 years. And then they start selling their equipment, they close their businesses. I think the frustrating part for a lot, and I can't speak for everyone, but I had this issue when I did thermolysis too, is they don't teach you in school how to connect the dots. In other words, they show you how to use their device, they tell you which one is best, and you make the decision which one you want to leave with, and then you go out and you get your first client, right? We've had this happen. You did, I did. And you're like, okay, I'm going to start saying everything they taught me in school. I'm going to whip out that chart. I'm going to show them the hair growth cycle. And then the client goes, what? And they tune out. The
Yeah.
reason
I,
I think that people stay in the industry as long as they do, the 4 to 7 years,
yeah.
is all of these things are not taught in school because you have to learn them on your own or get a mentor like I had, like you had. And then
Mm.
once the mentor teaches you all the other things in the industry, you can throw away the things that don't work. If you don't have a mentor, you don't have the extra knowledge. You only have what the school
That's,
teaches you, and that's the problem. Am
yeah.
I wrong? Do you find that too?
No, I see the first problem is when they come out of college, they don't realize that that's only the beginning of their education.
Mm.
How many electrologists have invested money in research like you and I have? I've used everything I've got to research to find answers. See, you and I have curiosity. When
Yes.
we see a problem, we want to solve it for that person. When they see a problem, they pass it. They don't go and research and pay money out of their pockets to find answers and share knowledge with the industry. It's a very stale process. And if you went through and asked every electrologist operating there now, how much have you invested back into the industry in research, etc.? I guarantee it'd be pretty much zero. They, oh, well, went to a conference, the annual thing, and I spent £300 or whatever at a conference. Well, that's not education. That's not research. I don't think they understand that you have to create your environment. You have to create everything you want to give the best to that client. And that's what it's about. See, we're client focused. We want to know why that didn't work. Thermolysis, what did it do? It sent us exploring, looking. We wouldn't have stayed. If we were doing a thermolysis, we would have moved on too.
Well, I think that a part of it is they think they are getting results because I can tell you through observation, right? What happens is people run a transactional business. And that's what I found. And you'll appreciate this when I tell you what I mean. People come in, they want 15 minutes, they want a half an hour, and they leave. It's a transaction. That's something I've observed in the entire industry. Look, I'm willing to admit that not everyone is a candidate for Beverly Hills Hair Free. I've had a lot of clients that just didn't like it and they didn't want it.
For various reasons, galvanic isn't somebody's solution. But for most of the people that want to get rid of it, they will look at that and say, yes, for me to have that hair free result in such a short space of time, I will go through this journey to achieve it. And see, we can look at a client and say, okay, that's going to take 30 hours. It's going to take 100 hours. With galvanic, you can estimate because
Mhm.
um, you look at the area and you can know because you're not dealing with all that regrowth. But with thermolysis, how can you judge? You can't give them any idea. I mean, because why are they still coming back for a tidy up in 15 years? There's a good example on my website. There's a girl called Sylvia. It took me 2 years, 180 hours, working 32 probes at the beginning to completely strip her face. 20 years later, she walked into my clinic. Now she's been through menopause, right? Um, and I took that photo of her cheek. I ask you to find a hair on it. Now around 60-ish,
Mhm.
no hair.
That's
Now
amazing.
that's what galvanic delivers.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let's talk about because we both have heard this before. Oh my God, the scabbing from
Oh,
galvanic. And I know that we both do really long sessions for people, right?
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
when you do those long sessions, and for us, because people travel from all over the world to see us, and for you as well, you
Yeah.
want to try and squeeze in as much time as possible because they're spending a lot of money to be there. So
Mm.
instead of seeing them for 1 hour or 5 hours, you want to see them for 10, 12. They're there for 3 days and they just want to do it.
Get the maximum. Mm.
Yep, they're swollen, they're scabby.
If you look at that person when they're completely finished and the skin healed, their skin is so rejuvenated. It's like peaches and cream.
Yep.
And look, we've done up to 9 hours in a session, right? So, yeah, we do long sessions when people need them. Have a long session. Now, afterwards, you're going to be swollen. You're going to have plenty of scabs. Sylvia's face in that photo, I said, we were doing 3 hours every week. Her face was swollen, full of scabs, everything. Look at her skin 20 years later. It's radiant. You've got to have a healing process. You can't have a treatment. And the thing is with galvanic, it's also superficial, the scabbing. So it doesn't leave scars. Look, the skin heals beautifully, you know.
Yep.
Scarring comes from the person themselves.
We do our part, you have to do yours.
They've got to take responsibility for the aftercare. We can't go home with them. And also, I'll tell you another problem where clients are not aware of when they get a reaction is that if they've had a lot of laser on their face, the one of the side effects of laser, of course, is skin infection. Now, there's infection in the skin and the underarms, urinary tract. If you look at all the reviews, you'll see this thread of infection. Now, because of the heat is breaking down the skin, they come in and you do a treatment, therefore, and they react and get some when I say like red blotches, that is a normal reaction from a laser. They've got to understand if they've had a lot of laser, their skin's very fragile and this can happen.
So, Noreen, I did want to talk to you about some of the amazing work that you've been doing. We recently branched out into cancer reconstruction, and we talked about that with you. We have seen some patients nose reconstruction where we're getting rid of some of the hairs on their nose, but you shared a case with me and I was blown away. And by the way, my hat's off to you for doing that.
I'll tell you, this is an interesting case, but it's interesting in another way because what it shows is both you and I come from a space where the client is the most important person around. You know, we have to, you know, somebody presents with a problem we've never seen before or been challenged by. We then put everything into place to get a solution. The hospital sent me a patient of theirs that had had cancer in the mouth, and the skin graft went right down to the base of the tongue, all under the tongue and that. But the skin itself was taken from the top of the arm around the wrist part. A male in his 70s with ginger type hair, so it was thick and wiry. Now, when that skin goes in, then it starts to grow hair. All that hair is still there, still active. So now we've got a mouthful of hair. I said, look, I'm telling you now, I've never done it before, but I know we can help you. So give me some space. I need to do some homework. I got on a plane, flew over to India to meet Dr. Parwin to learn about working on grafts. One first rule is when you're dealing with a graft, never use heat. So that eliminates laser, blend, and thermolysis. You're only left with galvanic. So I started and I was doing the multi, and I could only do about 3 or 4 probes at a time. And I was able to do all the front of the mouth, under the tongue there, around there, but I got halfway. Well, it's like the universe looks after you. In walks a young girl that was a dental nurse, and she said, Noreen, how do I get into this industry? I took a deep breath and said, just talk to me. So I trained her because she was a nurse. She had all the background, but she had all the skills of working in the mouth. So trained her straight away as an electrologist. And then we worked with the blend machine, but dropped the heat. So it was just pure galvanic. And because the graft was numb, we were able to do that without any sort of anesthetics. And the hairs went right down to the base of the throat. We have cleaned it completely. We haven't seen him now for about 3 months.
My hat's off to you. I've never worked on a tongue or inside the mouth. Wow.
So now we were the first in the world to really perfect it. Thank you to the dental nurse. But now we offer that service, and we've had about half a dozen of them now come through,
Wow.
and all successful. We had to solve the problem,
Yes.
just like you, like myself. We don't leave it, and this is where we differ in the industry.
Hmm.
Most people would say, sorry,
I
can't do
can't
it,
help you.
but
Mhm.
we challenge ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we're both great at what we do.
For 24 years, I've heard the same thing. Oh, that's so scary looking. Not only from clients, we post sometimes photos with all the probes in someone's face, and they're like, "Ooh, how much does that hurt? That looks so scary. It looks like a contraption." Um, what do you say to people?
I try and just get them to take their mind away from what it looks like and focus on what it delivers. It's about the delivery. And I think once they've seen it and had their first session, then they're fine because they know, oh, yeah, this is okay. And some of them will go to sleep, others will feel it a little more. Level of discomfort is different for each person,
I
you know.
definitely agree. I've had the same response from clients where they're hesitant because it looks so scary, but then as soon as you give them the treatment, they're like, wow, this is like nothing that I've ever expected or experienced. The other thing I'll say is nobody wants to see how surgery is done, but everybody goes.
We deliver. That's
Yes.
the key to it, is just
Nobody wants to see
focus
how
on
the
the end.
sausage is made, but everybody likes to eat it, right?
That's right. Once they try it, they're fine. And after the first 4 treatments and they see the results, they instantly see results. That's what I love.
Yes,
There's no question about it. And the integrity of the treatment, that's so important to me.
totally.
Uh, you don't have to uh, have an excuse. We don't sit there day after day and listen to people. Well, when am I going to see a result? We don't get asked that question. It's
Hmm.
like, wow, I can see the results. And you're always comfortable to say to the client, hey, how are you feeling about the results? Oh, yeah, I can see them.
They see it.
Fabulous.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
had a patient recently who booked a 3-hour session, didn't know what to expect, left my office and scheduled, I want to say maybe 2 months down the future. He wanted to go play cards with his friends, and they don't know that he's having the procedure done. So I said, "You may not want to go. I don't know how, scabby you're going to be." He texted me the next day and said, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I played cards. Nobody noticed. I'm healed up and I want to come in like next week because this is amazing." So,
That's it. That's it. I mean, once they see the results, you,
yeah,
you can't compare it to anything else because
yeah,
it works. It's ethical.
yeah,
It really is the only way. You do the treatment, you'll get the results.
agreed. Noreen, is there anything else you want to share with our audience? I always find this time so fascinating with you.
I would love Australia, America. If you have questions, let us know. We can answer them because we have a great team behind us. And we're going to answer it with information that's going to benefit you. So, please feel free, send in your questions and let's get some answers out there for you. But the one thing I want to say to everybody is, please, if you want permanent hair removal, that is permanent for the rest of your life, trust Galvanic. It's the only way to go.
And multi-probe galvanic, right? Because,
Multi-probe, yeah,
yeah,
multi-probe galvanic.
yes.
Blend has heat attached to it. Galvanic multi-probe is the only solution that I have seen that you can guarantee the end result and not fail the client. I know everyone that walks through my door, we can provide a solution if they let us do the treatment and if they follow the plan we give them.
Yes. Contact Noreen. I will post all of her information below, or contact us. And we should do this again. As a matter of fact, I think we should do this maybe once a month,
I
because
do
I'm sure
too.
we're going to get a lot of questions pouring in. And then I like to keep in touch with you. And I know you and I communicate, behind the scenes over WhatsApp and stuff, and we're always in touch with one another. But I think it would be nice, if we even got other professionals involved and they wanted to maybe once in a while hop on with us and um, have a discussion. What I don't want is opinion, because opinion is not fact.
Facts is what we're about. That's why we'll grow with education. We want to educate the public. We want you to give us the questions so we can.
Yeah, so please get us your questions. You can send them to our DM. Noreen has a Instagram page as well if you want to reach out to her on Instagram or her website. I'll post all the information, and we're always checking our social media accounts. We're going to come up with a few interesting topics for the next time we do this, because Noreen and I, we both use galvanic. But if it is something we can answer, because we did start out using thermolysis and both of us have used the blend, we've been in the industry forever. Well, Noreen longer than me, so she's one of my mentors. Um, Ask us whatever questions you have. We'd be more than happy to answer it. And again, I want to stress scabbing is perfectly normal.
Normal, normal. You
Yep.
have to have a healing process. Get over it and just allow it to happen. Do not
Yes.
rub the scabs off. Just allow it. It is part of the process.
Yes. Absolutely. And I say the same thing you say. I have some older patients and their skin is just amazing.
Well, I've had my full face done and I'm in my 70s.
I know your skin's
So my
amazing.
skin is a result of galvanic.
I have read the galvanic stimulates collagen, and you said the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the beauty industry, they brought out a process called needling,
Mhm.
and it's great. People get it done, and it's like a facelift without having the facelift. What are we doing? Needling, galvanic, exactly the same. And we're doing every single follicle that we see. So of course you have to have an end result of a much improved skin.
I agree. So
Yeah.
we should start charging extra for that then. Kidding.
That's our bonus. As long as they all look beautiful when we're finished, that's all I care.
Mhm.
Confidence, freedom.
Confidence, that's exactly right, because everybody who has hair on their face is very self-conscious of it. And so
Ah,
once we get the hair off, right, their demeanor changes, their personality, their attitude. They don't feel like they have to hide anymore. And that's the most incredible result.
I think one of the topics that we in another session let's cover is so people with hair feel normal. Um, is what was it like to have a hair problem? What was the road like you walked on uh, with that? How did you cover it? How did it affect your life before you went and had the treatment? So people understand that, yeah, it's okay, that the
Mhm.
things they're feeling and that are normal. But then there's the solution there for them as well.
That's a great idea. So if you all out there have had a hair problem and you've had it removed and you want to share your story, we'd like to know what you did and how you felt about it so that we can
Yeah.
share it with others. I always say, and I always ask my clients if I could record their treatment just to show the progress or the procedure. And I always say the only reason that I want to do it is so maybe someone watching, you can help them, or they can go, wow, I need that. And that's what I want. And I can go here to get it done. Right. So you never know who you're going to help if people share their stories.
So many people have come to me when they've walked in the door and thanked me for the honesty in my story, and they related to it. And I mean, it's self humiliation putting that public, out there,
Yeah.
but it's helped so many people because they connected with me. They understand what I went through.
Yeah.
So it's
Absolutely.
great if they can share stories as well with us so others can know the journey and then the
Of course.
solution.
Makes you feel like you're not alone, right?
Exactly. That's why I think a community is great.
Yeah.
Alana, we need a community.
We do. We need a
Yeah,
community of like-minded thinkers, other
people.
electrologists that want to join, And I think that with me having the school in Dallas and coming out with the equipment, you coming out with the equipment, and we doing something to empower and inspire electrologists, not just, oh, let's go to a meeting once a year where we see everybody that we kind of are connected to. It should be more than that. It should feel
Yeah,
like a family. And I
that's
haven't
it.
felt
Yeah.
that.
No, I it's not in the industry. We have to create it. We need a community. We need people to belong to our community so we can be there and all be friends to support each other through this journey.
I agree. I agree. Well, my friend, it's been a
Yeah.
pleasure as usual. I'm so excited for your future and I cannot wait to see your device. I am so excited.
Ah, we'll get there. It's a long road, but thank you for inviting me today and for just sharing with me. And I love the fact that we're doing the same thing. We're in a big world, and we can work together. And even though we're doing our own devices, we can share and not make same similar
Absolutely.
mistakes. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
this is
The
great.
universe is so vast. And,
Ah,
I've always had that same mindset like you,
yeah.
sharing information,
Yeah.
inviting other people in. Why not?
Why exactly? Why
The
not?
the
I
bigger,
think
the
this,
better.
yeah, and it's wonderful to share because the universe is a big place. And I hope that we are able to build a group of electrologists that get excited with curiosity. If we can do that, we can allow this industry to be the best.
Oh, you're so inspiring. I love it. This is why I love talking to you. And you've always been like that as long as I've known you.
Well, thank you again, and I will look forward to our next chat.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much, Noreen, and I will see you
Pleasure.
soon. Thank you so much for listening, and please send us your questions about electrolysis.